Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the Barbican. My name is Martin Bean, and I am the very proud Vice-Chancellor of the Open University. And by the authority given in the statutes of the Open University, I declare this congregation open for the conferment of degrees and the presentation of graduates. Distinguished guests, graduates, and friends of the university, it is my privilege and pleasure to welcome you all to the 22nd of the Open University's degree ceremonies being held in 2014. We are absolutely delighted to be able to welcome Mrs. Ruth Spellman, Chief Executive of the Workers' Educational Association, who has found time in her busy diary to be with us this afternoon. And it is, of course, my great pleasure to welcome our Honorary Graduate Professor, Lord Robert Winston, and I'm sure we will all enjoy hearing from him later in the ceremony. All right. Each year, the Open University awards over 14,000 degrees, and throughout 2014, more than 7,000 of the graduates are being presented for their qualifications at degree ceremonies, just like this one today in London. These are being held in 13 different cities and towns throughout the UK, as well as in Dublin, in Versailles, and in other places as far apart as Moscow, Bucharest, and Addis Ababa. And I think that really illustrates that today you are joining a university that has incredible reach, and that you are joining a university that includes a worldwide community of graduates. Now, it goes without saying that today is a very important occasion in the life of you, our graduates, your families and loved ones who are all around us, as well as the university staff, who I'm sure you would agree have done a pretty terrific job in nurturing you along the way. And you could be forgiven that it's such an important occasion that it needed to be solemn. Well, you'd be quite wrong. In every sense, this afternoon is an afternoon of celebration. So I will be very disappointed if anyone crosses the stage to anything less than thunderous applause, or any other way you may choose to express your appreciation and pride for our graduates here today. With that in mind, I'd like all of our graduates to stand for me. All of our graduates to stand up for me today. Wow. And I'd like everybody in the room to just give them a big round of applause and show them how proud we are of them. Perfect. Graduates, please be seated. All right, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this afternoon's going to work. We're going to begin with the presentation of those graduates who have gained a higher degree and who have been able to attend here today. They will be presented by my colleague and friend, Dr. Frank Monahan, who is our senior lecturer in the Faculty of Education and Language Studies. And then we will see the awarding of the honorary degree of Doctor of the University to Lord Winston. Professor Hazel Reimer, our Dean of the Faculty of Science, will present Professor Winston, who will sign the Honorary Graduates book here and share some words with us this afternoon. Then we will continue our presentation of graduates with those who have gained their first degrees. And to conclude the ceremony, I'll be back just to share a few words with our graduates today before we let you out to enjoy your celebration here tonight at the end of the week. So, without any further ado, I would like to call upon Dr. Monahan to present higher degree graduates. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a treat this afternoon. Open University degree ceremonies are not like anything else you've ever experienced. Sit back, relax, enjoy, and graduates, I look forward to shaking your hand in just a few minutes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Vice-Chancellor, I shall now present graduates who've gained higher degrees and have been able to attend here today. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, I present to you for a thesis entitled An Examination of Perpetrator Explanations for Sexual Abuse of Young Children in South Africa, Kahelo lekalakala. And for a thesis, Doing Food Security in Practice, Seeds, Seed Banking and Preparations for the Future, Oliver Zanetti.
Hey, Oliver.
For the degree of Master of Arts in English with distinction, I present Amanda Ford.
Hi, Amanda.
Wayne Pigeon Croot. For the degree of Master of Arts in History, I present Philip Bonwick.
Hey, Philip,
For the degree of Master of Arts in Religious Studies, I present John Lynch. For the degree of Master of Business Administration, I present Louise Arnold. Carl Howells. Debbie Pensarini. Rory Powell. Claire Walker.
Hey, Claire.
Graham Wilson.
Hey, Graham, how are you?
For the degree of Master of Education with distinction, I present Helen Beryl.
Hey,
For the degree of Master of Education, I present James Brady. For the degree of Master of Science in Advancing Healthcare Practice with distinction, I present Rachel Geary. For the degree of Master of Science in Development Management, I present Anthony Quarco. Bhagirath Yogi. For the degree of Master of Science in Forensic Psychology and Criminology, I present Lauren McEwen. Sharon Spencer. For the degree of Master of Science in Management and Business Research Methods, I present Alison Pickard. For the degree of Master of Science in Medicinal Chemistry, I present Penny Fitt. For the degree of Master of Science in Psychological Research Methods, I present Joanne Brownsword. Gemma Comber. Barbara Eidmann. For the degree of Master of Science in Software Development, I present Mark Hope.
Hey, Mark.
And for the degree of Master of Science in Technology Management, I present Soraya Begum. And for the degree of Master in Business Administration, I present Damaris Ngugi.
Vice-Chancellor, colleagues, graduates and guests. As a scientist, researcher, broadcaster, educator and political figure, Professor Lord Robert Winston's work has been hugely significant, both in advancing reproductive medicine and enhancing public understanding of science. After taking his degree in medicine and surgery from the London Hospital Medical College, Robert embarked on a distinguished medical career specialising in human fertility. In developing new surgical techniques to improve fertility treatments, he has helped thousands of would-be parents fulfil their dreams of having a family. Thousands more have benefited from his work on in vitro fertilisation, which allows embryos to be screened for genetic diseases and chromosomal abnormalities before being implanted. This not only helps prevent miscarriages, but also means that children can be born free from life-threatening illnesses. Robert's research programme at the Institute of Reproductive and Developmental Biology at Imperial College, where he is Professor of Science and Society and Emeritus Professor of Fertility Studies, continues to be at the forefront of reproductive medicine. He's also Chancellor of Sheffield Hallam University. In 1995, he was made Baron Winston of Hammersmith and Fulham, and is an active and thoughtful contributor to the House of Lords. As well as contributing to debate, policy and legislation on science and medicine, Robert has a strong interest in education and the arts, and is chair of the Royal College of Music. In 2008, he was voted Peer of the Year for his role in the Human Fertilisation and Embryology Bill, ensuring that the law kept pace with scientific developments within a strong ethical framework. Robert also has a long history of work with and support for charities such as Cancer Research UK and the UK Stem Cell Foundation. He's the founder and chair of the Genesis Research Trust, which researches the causes and cures of illnesses in women and babies, looking to reduce the rate of miscarriage and the number of premature births. But he's best known by the public for his television work, a commitment that reflects his belief in the importance of a scientifically literate society. Programmes have ranged from the human body to Jamie's Dream School to How Science Changed Our World, in which he met some of his early IVF patients, living testament to the value of his own work. Robert's even had a role playing himself in The Archers. His aim through his broadcasting is to make science exciting, relevant and accessible, just as we do here at the Open University. Indeed, one of his most popular programmes, Child of Our Time, is a collaboration with the Open University. The documentary has been following 25 children since they were born in 2000, a unique snapshot of family life in 21st century Britain that explores what makes us who we are. Along with more than 300 academic papers, Robert has also written over 20 popular science books. He's champion of the Reach Out Lab at Imperial College London, where school children are able to observe world-class researchers at work and try their own experiments. Instantly recognisable and in great demand as a public speaker, Robert is unafraid to speak out on controversial topics of the day. He's won numerous awards, from a BAFTA to a Faraday Medal, and has been recognised by universities from across the world. It's fitting, then, that the Open University now honours him as well for his contribution to science and his impact on society. Vice-Chancellor, by authority of the Senate, I present to you for the degree of Doctor of the University, Professor Lord Robert Winston.
Pleasure to confer upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of the Open University.
You just take my speech away. Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, graduands, ladies and gentlemen. It's difficult to know quite what to say when you listen to your CV like that. And I remember some years ago applying for a job, one of the many jobs I didn't get. And I showed my CV beforehand, before posting it to the university I was applying to my elderly professor, John McClure-Brown. And McClure-Brown looked at my CV with a pencil in his hand, and he went down it like this while I was sitting in his office for about 15 minutes, grunting, woof, 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 woof. And then finally, he put it on the desk, and he said, "Well, Winston, when I read my CV, I don't recognize myself either." I have very few credentials, Vice-Chancellor, for this citation, and fewer credentials still for the honour and privilege of being an honorary doctorate of this university, and I'll explain why in a second. But Child of Our Time is only one of the collaborations I've had with the Open University. It's constantly a conflict between me in a studio somewhere in Shepherd's Bush and some academic down at the Open University who's arguing furiously for some particular aspect of child development with which I don't agree and know nothing about, of course, but therefore assert myself even more vigorously, having to change the script again and again. But it's been a wonderful collaboration. It's not the only collaboration I've had with the Open University, but it's been an important one with a number of the science programs. Human Instinct was one, and there have been programs on genetics that I've done in collaboration with your excellent academics, and it's something which has been very important to us. And of course, without it, I think the BBC couldn't have made some of those programs. My first contact with really this university was probably with your first Chancellor, Walter Perry, Lord Perry. When I took over the chairmanship of the Select Committee for Science and Technology in the House of Lords, Walter Perry was one of my very grumpy members of that committee and was always furiously arguing and infuriatingly always right, actually. He was an extraordinary scientist, fellow of the Royal Society, and greatly distinguished medic in his field. And I remember his chairing of a very controversial report on cannabis usage. And it came to the point when we were going to have a press conference, and my clerk, Andrew McCower, came in, and he said, "My lords, tomorrow there's going to be a press conference, and it might be that there's rather more usual press interest in your report than is usual with your lordship's reports," i.e. no interest at all. And of course, he said, there may be quite a lot of journalists present tomorrow, and you might want to consider your answer to one particular question. And there was a hush in the room. And then George Porter, Nobel Prize winner for chemistry, aged 83, leant over towards me, and in a stage whisper he said, "Robert, I've never had cannabis, what's it like?" I have to be careful not to tell too many stories, but as I say, I'm not really suitable for this honour. My great example is failing a large number of examinations at my university. I have a world record in that respect. I had the lowest remark ever recorded for biochemistry at the university, 17%, in a closed marking system, which is quite well known. And when it came to obstetrics and gynecology, a profession which I tried to undertake, I was watching my best friend trying to deliver a baby through the bony pelvis. Basically, it was in a large hall rather like this, and I was the next candidate up and could see everything that was about to happen. And, ladies and gentlemen, there was the examiner sitting on the stool, and my friend, the candidate, sitting on the opposite stool, and the examiner held this bony pelvis with a rag doll with a head the size of a fetus. And in a loud voice, the examiner said, "Right, show me the mechanisms of labour, show me how the head comes through the pelvis." And with some trembling hands and some difficulty, my friend just about managed to deliver the baby as it was pushed through by the examiner's fist. He said, "Right, now put on the obstetric forceps, which are big metal instruments, slip them on the side of the head and bring the baby out using forceps." So my friend put the forceps on. I was watching, wondering what he was going to ask me next when I was up next. And he put the forceps on and he pulled. Nothing happened. The baby was absolutely jammed in the pelvis. So he pulled a bit harder. And then, of course, fortunately, not many of you have to take a viva examination. But if you ever do take a viva in the future, just remember one tip from me. Whatever you do, if you're sitting on a stool, don't put your foot up against the examiner's stool. My friend pulled at the forceps and still nothing happened. So then he made the absolutely fatal error. With both feet up, he pulled really violently. The baby flew through the pelvis. He went over backwards. The examiner went over the other way. The baby was on the floor. The pelvis was on the floor. The forceps were one side and the other side. And very slowly, the examiner bent down, picked up the forceps, and raised them above his head so that everybody could see and hear what was going on, and said, "Right, now hit the father over the head, and you have killed the whole bloody family." You know, it's not a day to be publishing newspapers, is it, today? I mean, imagine how difficult it would be to write the Times today, knowing or not knowing exactly what the result was going to be in Scotland, by far the biggest political issue we've had to face in the United Kingdom for a very long time. So it was with great interest I read the first leader in the Times today, which was a wonderful example, to my mind, of miscuing. What the Times talked about was the burgeoning population explosion around the globe, and how it was likely that the predictions the scientists make were really an underestimate. That's, of course, not news, because I have to tell you that scientific predictions are nearly always wrong, and they've been catastrophically wrong with population prediction again and again. But certainly by the year 2100, they were suggesting we would have a very difficult sustaining of the Earth's resources with the population. And they then gave a whole series of things that they thought should be done, not to panic, but to argue we should be doing much more in the way of the technology of reproduction, i.e. my field, contraception. And I thought, what an amazing missed opportunity that was for the Times today. You know, what's really important to consider is that the thing that does change population growth is certainly not the contraceptive pill. It never has, and nor has sterilisation. But what does change population growth, of course, is the changes in society. The changes in society which include better hygiene, better rights for women, a stable democracy wherever possible, better government, lack of war, less child death, and above all, ladies and gentlemen, education. And that's my point. We're sitting here, and I have the privilege of sitting here with you at the Open University, one of the largest universities in Europe, which undertakes to educate each year around 50,000 students from outside the United Kingdom. That kind of education can have a colossal effect on our globe. And actually, if we really promoted that in the way that we should do and understood the need and the aspiration for education, and that's what the Open University does so finely, and what you all as graduates contribute to, we would actually be in a very different world. I'm not fussed about the future population growth, because I believe that these predictions are likely to be seriously wrong, largely because I think global society will change, and I think it will largely change because of institutions like this great institution. So I'm delighted to have this privilege of accepting an honorary degree at the Open University. The other day I was sitting in a studio with a previous honorary doctorate, Melvyn Bragg. We were in the Chris Evans radio show. And Chris Evans, and Melvyn Bragg said something absolutely wonderful. He said, he didn't know I was coming up here this week, and he said, you know, of all the awards I've won, of all the things that I've achieved, all the things that happened to me, the thing that I most treasure is the honorary doctorate at the Open University. What a remarkable thing for Melvyn to say. He's a lovely man, but actually he's dead right. That is a very important aspect of the civilizing process that you in this university conduct and contribute to. I'm delighted and humbled to be here. You know, I don't, those achievements that you very kindly read out, you know, they're really ultimately meaningless. The question really is how each of us collaborates with other people to achieve that, and we can't do that without education. And Vice-Chancellor, so I want to thank you very much indeed for this real honour. And also, of course, perhaps I might take the opportunity to point out that I believe that an honorary doctorate does not go without recognising that you have responsibilities to the university which I will try to achieve and to help the university in any way I can do. And there will be, I think, opportunities in all sorts of ways. And perhaps, if I might be presumptuous, because I think this is one of the last times you're going to be on this stage, because you're now leaving the United Kingdom this year, to say how grateful we are to you for your leadership. And so my promise to you, of course, will have to be passed on to your successor. And I'm sure that everybody in this room will want to wish you huge success, which you've already achieved in this university. Thank you very much indeed.
Vice-Chancellor, we now come to the part of today's ceremony that marks the presentation of graduates who've gained a first degree and have been able to attend here today. The full subject and classification details are printed in the Directory of Graduates. I present to you for the degree of Bachelor of Arts with First Class Honours, Antonia Bell. Sarah Chambers. Roger Collins.
Hello, Roger.
Michael Gibbous. Jane Gregory. Neil Harris.
Hello, Neil.
Christine Hayes.
Hello,
Alison Hearn.
Hello,
Jolene Hill.
Hello,
Anna Johnston. Dylan Kennedy. Wendy Mace. Alison Manjon. Michelle Mansfield. Peter Mathers.
Hello, Peter.
Jill Mortimer. Kerry Mussam.
Hi, Kerry.
Paul O'Brien.
Hey, Paul.
Deborah Parks.
Hi, Deborah.
Kathy Fippen.
Hi, Kathy.
Karen Rollison.
Hi, Karen. Take care.
Kate Rowland.
Hi, Kate.
Rima Shah.
Hi,
Laura Vallis.
Hi, Laura.
Nigel Walker. Sarah Wildblood. Philip Zuger. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours, I present Fabrice Abdi. Christopher Aberley.
Hi, Christopher.
Philip Adams.
Hey, Philip, how are you? Congratulations. Enjoy the day.
Nargis Akhtar. Angela Allen.
Hi, Angela. Brilliant's a good word. Take care.
Karen Allen.
Hi, Congratulations.
Frank Ando.
Hi, Frank.
Mark Andrew.
Hey,
Rebecca Atkinson.
Hey, Rebecca.
Michelle Augustine. Lucy Babington.
Hi,
Silvana Ballarin.
Hi, Silvana.
Patricia Banks.
Hey, Patricia.
Giovanni Baruffi. Julie Birch.
Hello, Julie.
Neil Bland.
Hi, Neil.
Julian Branston.
Hi, Julie.
Julie Broadbent.
Hey, Julie.
Steve Buckingham.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Mark Burdett.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
Kaylee Carpenter. Rosalind Carr.
Hello, Rosie. How are you?
Alice Carter.
Hey, Alice, how are you?
Satkata Chagon.
Hello,
Susan Chan.
hello, Susan.
Angela Christians. Louise Clapp. Holly Clark.
Hello, Bonnie.
Dawn Clements.
Hey, Dawn, how are you?
Lara Clemenson. Lee Cooper. Sally Cooper.
Hello, Sally, how are
you? Jade Cooper Smith.
Hey, how are you?
Trudy Copperthwaite.
Hello, Trudy, how are you?
Jeffrey Cotter.
Hey, Jeffrey, how are you?
Vanessa Courtney.
Hey, Vanessa, how are you?
Nicola Crowe.
Hey, Nicola, how are
Charlotte Crowson.
you? Hello,
Philippa Davenport.
hi, Philippa, how are
Carol Davis.
you?
Charlotte Davies.
Hey,
Christopher de Graft Hayford.
hello, Christopher.
Eileen Dennis. Ashley Dent.
Hey, Ashley, how are you?
Kayla Diaz. Lisa El Nagar. Lee Elliston.
Hey, Lee, how are
Susan Field.
you? Hey, Susan, how are you?
Natalie Franks.
Hello, Natalie.
Fiorella Fronzi.
Hello, Fiorella.
Sally Gardner.
Hello, Sally.
Jennifer Garwood.
Hi, Jennifer.
Berry George.
Hello, how are you?
Catherine Gray.
Hey, Catherine, how are you?
Stephen Greenfield.
Hello, Stephen, how are
Heidi Hamber.
Hello, Heidi.
David Hardcastle.
Hello, David. How are you?
Cherise Hardy.
Hello, how are you?
Daniel Harpham.
Hello, Daniel, how
Caroline Hatch.
are you? Hello, how are
John Hayes.
you? Hello,
Andrea Hazard. Michael Healy.
Hi there, how
Mary Higginson.
are you? Hello, Mary, how are you?
Marie Hill.
Hi, Marie.
Nathan Hill.
Hey, Nathan, how are you?
Jason Hope.
Hey, Jason, how are you?
Michael Hosking.
Hey, Michael, how are you?
Kirsty Howard. Eleanor Hughes.
Hi, Eleanor, how are you?
Gary Hutt.
Hey, Gary, how are you?
Sylvia Irvin Robertson.
Hi, Sylvia, how are
Juan Iskro.
you? Hey, Juan, how are you?
Margaret Johnson. Trevor Jones.
Hey Trevor, how are you?
Nirmal Khalsi. Chinwe Kizo Maguire. Vavara Kjalgren.
Hello, how are you?
Burak Kokalsan.
Hey Burak, how are you?
Faye Lawrence.
Hey Faye, how are you?
Andrew Lewis. Chin Lee. Candice Lloyd.
Hi Candice.
Jacqueline Manning.
Hi
Lisa Maresca Harmer.
Hi Lisa, how
Linda Mason.
are you? Hi Linda.
Kelly Mayhew Frost. Catherine McAlevey.
Hi Catherine,
Francil MacDonald.
how are you?
Alison McLucky.
Hi Alison, how are you?
Kylie Moden.
Hi,
Jacqueline Moore. Cinzia Moretti. Sophie Morley. Claire Morris.
Hi Claire,
Carol Mortimer.
hi Carol.
Jahan Saeed Nassim. Ord Ndabanese. Heidi Nesbitt. Laura Newman. Lucy Norman.
Hi Lucy.
Fiona Nouri.
Hi, Fiona. How are you?
Rosalind Page. Tracy Pakru.
Hi, Tracy. How are you?
Elroy Palmer.
Hey, Elroy.
Susan Palmer.
Hello, Susan.
Farzana Patel.
Hello,
Joanne Paul. Simon Pierce.
Hey,
Rachel Pearson.
hi, Rachel.
Mark Player.
Hey, Mark. How are you?
Catherine Plum.
Hey, Catherine. How are you?
Sonia Potjevid. Claudette Poughton. Jonathan Reeder.
Hey, Jonathan. How are you?
Elizabeth Rippin.
Hey, Elizabeth. How are you?
Maggie Rutherford.
Hey, how are you?
Sarah Savory.
Hey, Sarah. How are you?
Tara Selby. Eleanor Serafusa.
Hello, Eleanor.
Olivia Sesame.
Hi, Olivia. How are you?
Chris Shaw.
Hi, Chris.
Jill Shepherd.
Hello.
Claire Sylvester.
Hi, Claire.
Kelly Southcott.
Hello, Kelly.
Richard Spicer. Holly Stebbings.
Hi, Holly.
Keely Taylor.
Hi, Keely.
Carl Thomas.
Hey, Carl, how are you?
Linda Thomas.
Hey, Linda.
Amanda Thompson.
Hi, Amanda, how are you?
Benjamin Timpson.
Hey, Benjamin, how
Natalie Tromans.
are you? Hi, Natalie.
Natalie Jane Vivekananda. Christine Wansbury.
Hey, Christine, how
Rebecca Ward.
are you? Hi, Rebecca.
Jason Waterfield.
Hey, Jason, how are you?
Lucy Watson.
Hey, Lucy, how are you?
Martin Webb.
Hello, Martin, how are you?
Jez Wells.
Hey, Jess, how are you?
Sarah Wenham.
Hi, Sarah, how are you?
Heidi Wheatley.
Hi, Heidi, how are
Claire Williams.
you? Hi, Claire.
Emma Williams.
Hi, Emma, how are you?
Rachel Wood.
Hello, Rachel.
Janet Wright.
Hello, Janet.
Karen Young. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts, I present Tracy Blanchfield.
Hi, Tracy, how
Debbie Bolter.
are you? Hey, Debbie, how are
Delphine Gould and Buska.
you? Hello.
Julie Hatman.
Hey, Julie, how are you?
Eliska Kriel.
Hello, Eliska, how are you?
Ali Curie. Fahin Mirza. Mandy Moncrief.
Hello, how are you?
Marcus Skiller.
Hi, Marcus, how are
you? Margaret Scott. Steve Tilley.
Hi, Steve.
Susan Vos.
Hey,
Nicola Webber. Petra Worthington.
Hi, Petra, how are you?
For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering with Honours, I present Carlos Wilhelms Fagundes. For the degree of Bachelor of Laws with First Class Honours, I present Michelle Kennedy. For the degree of Bachelor of Law with Honours, I present Lucia Kochokaru. Estador. Geordie Folge. Lovemore Magombedze. For the degree of Bachelor of Science with First Class Honours, I present Karen Antino. Helen Ashcroft.
Hi, Helen, how are you?
Elliot Doucher. Ben Daniel Thorpe.
Hi, Ben.
Danny Davis. Donald Edgar. Samantha Evans.
Hi, Samantha.
Kate Johnston.
Hi, Kate. How are
Carol Major.
Hi, Carol. How are you?
Paul Potter.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
Sarah Price.
Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Louise Shaw.
Hi, Louise. How are you?
Gary Smith. Olivia Smith. Elizabeth Todd. Sally Verney. Jacqueline Wright.
Hi, Jack.
For the degree of Bachelor of Science with Honours, I present Betty Adigal. Adijat Alade. Kerry Atfield. Ellie Austin. Bernadette Barrett.
Thank you.
Ellen Bates. Joanna Bota. Paul Bumstead. Victoria Canning. Fleur Cannon. Michelle Catterick.
Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Daniele Cecchinato. Carolyn Cleveland. Emma Cox. Joanne Cunningham.
Hi, Joanne, how are you?
Parastu Donyai. Amy Fisher. Alison Flanagan.
Hi, Alison. How are you?
Janice Gilbert.
Hi, Janice.
Emma Glover. Clara Elise Gostava. Carolyn Graham.
Hi, Carolyn.
Katie Gray. Carl Green.
Hi, Carl. How are you?
Tina Green. Amanda Halifax.
Hi, Amanda. How are you?
Sharon Harper. Amy Harty. Victoria Heatley.
Hey, Victoria.
Terry Holloway. Becky James.
Hey, Becky. How are you?
Tony Kemsley.
Hey, Tony.
Gabriel Lesmore Gordon.
Hey, Gabriel. How are you?
Marie-Louise Crooks.
Hello.
Ivana Macarone.
Hi, Ivana.
Simon McGaw.
Hey, Simon.
Siobhan McAndrew. Catherine McBride.
Hi, Catherine. How are you?
Lee Mackay. Michelle Mitton.
Hello, Michelle. How are you?
Pauline Morris McLeod.
Hey, Pauline. How are you?
Denise Nelson Bellahue.
Hey, Denise. How are you?
Ifenubi. Helen O'Neill. Linda Oborn.
Hi, Linda.
Alison O'Mell.
Hi, Alison.
Tracy Peacock. Christopher Plummer.
Hey, Christopher, how are you?
Luke Posnett.
Hey there, Luke, how are you?
Kate Poyser.
Hi, Kate, how are you?
Emma Prentice.
Hi, Emma.
Barbara Pupietz.
Hello, how are you?
Adam Robbins. Andrew Robson.
Hello, Andrew.
Mervyn Rudkins.
Hello, Merlin, how are you? Still a student, may you always be a student. All right, take good care.
Virginia Smedley.
Hi, Virginia, how
Kieran Smith.
are you? Hey, Kieran, how are you?
Jill Standing.
Hey, Jill, how are you?
Nicole Stevens.
Hi, Nicole, how are you?
Karen Stevens.
Hi, Helen, how are
Victoria Sumska.
you? Hi, Victoria, how are you?
Ryan Taylor.
Hey there, how are you? Bye.
Sally Thompson.
Hey there,
Manuel Timita.
hi, Manuel, how
Christy Udoa. Kelly Wilson.
are you? Hi, Kelly, how are you?
Robert Wilson.
Hi, Robert, how are you?
Nina Windhäuser.
Hi, Nina, how are you?
Jessica Woodgate.
Hi, Jessica.
For the degree of Bachelor of Science, I present Sally Adams.
Hello, how are you?
Josephine Fodde. Paul Loudon.
Hi, Paul.
Claudia Price. Emma Rose. Sarah Trevitt. Mildred White.
Hey, Mildred, how are you?
For a foundation degree, I present Christopher Adams. Sue Aldridge.
Hi, Sue.
Finley Brown.
Hi, how are you?
Sabina Boemeister.
Hey, Sabina, how are you?
Judith Burt.
Hey, Judith, how are you?
Bridget Carter.
Hi, Bridget, how are you?
Harriet Carter. Lawrence Sink.
Hey, Lawrence, how are you?
Lydia de Laszlo.
Hey, how are you?
Esther Elliott.
Hello, how are you?
Nisha Gill.
Hello.
Tony Harris.
Hello, how
Rory Heatherall.
are you? Hey, Rory, how are you?
Sarah Heger.
Hi, Sarah, how are you?
Jasvinda Hottie. Claire MacDonald.
Hey, Claire, how are you?
Sarah Martin.
Hey, Sarah, how are you?
Donna Matthews.
Hey, Donna, how are you?
Rebecca McCallan. Magdalena Muzanovic. Holly Offer.
Hi.
Alexandra Opas. Matthew Pankhurst.
Hi there, how are you?
Claire Selwood. Michelle Sturgis.
Hey, Michelle.
Wilma Thomas.
Hello, how are you?
Jay Tooley.
Hello, Joe.
Viera Vazutova. Wendy Williams.
Hello, Wendy.
William Woodley.
Hi, William, how
David Blackburn.
are you? Hey, David.
Anthony Crawford.
Hi, Anthony, how
And for the Diploma of Higher Education, I present Priscilla Akiempong.
are you? Hey,
Angela Dyke.
Let's give all the graduates another round of applause. Great job. Wow, what an amazing day. And I'm just so glad to have been able to share it all with all of you. You are one big OU family in here today, and you've just witnessed something truly quite remarkable. I remember one of my early degree ceremonies in Cardiff. The first graduate to come up to shake my hand did a cartwheel across the stage, bounced up and shook my hand. Well, if that wasn't bad enough, the look of sheer terror on person number 2, expecting that they had to perform a similar activity, was quite remarkable, actually. So, without doubt, this is the best part of my job, presiding here at degree ceremonies like this one. And it's not because I enjoy shaking literally hundreds and hundreds of sweaty palms, but it's actually that I get to see close up all of your joyful expressions, and I hear those amazing stories you whisper in my ear. It was there in the eyes of each and every one of you as you crossed the stage. It's sort of a blend of sort of like elation, nervousness, a little bit of relief, and occasionally some blind panic thrown in. But above all, there's sort of this overwhelming gleeful delight in having achieved something incredible. And that's no overstatement, graduates. What you have done is incredible. And today is a really important day to you, and one that I want you to remember for the rest of your lives. But I know that big moments like this can sometimes just pass us by in a blur of emotion and adrenaline. So I want you to take a moment, take a breath, slow it all down, and make sure you have a chance to just take everything in. From here, I can look out and see a sea of faces, no two exactly alike, because you're all individuals, you're all unique, and you're all different. But from today until forever, you all have one thing in common. You can proudly call yourself a graduate of the Open University. You know, it's now more than 40 years since our first degree ceremony. I had somebody this morning tell me that they'd been studying for 43 of those years, which is pretty remarkable. And since then, hundreds of thousands of amazing people have studying countless millions of hours of study, have earned the right to sit right where you are sitting right now. And you know far better than I just how much work they undertook, how much effort and determination they needed. You know more than I can ever express just how great an achievement this is for you. But you know what? It's not just your achievement, it's ours too. The universities, the advisor and registrations who handled your first hesitant telephone inquiry, the academics in Milton Keynes who designed and wrote your course, the student services staff who supported you, you know, when you felt you just couldn't go on. And of course, our associate lecturers, the women and men who guided you through the whole OU learning experience, from the moment you opened those brown cardboard boxes to the moment you crossed the stage today. Every one of us at the Open University, we have a little in stake in what you've accomplished. And believe me, every one of us is bursting with pride when we celebrate with you today. It was the Open University staff who made all this possible, and many of my colleagues are on the stage with me today, and many will watch this afterwards. So let's take a moment to say thank you. Thank you to everybody in the Open University who helped achieve your goal. Can you please give my colleagues a huge round of applause for what they've done? Now, you know what, of course, they're not the only ones who have helped you reach your goal. And I know it's not easy being an OU student. Some of you told me about that today. I know that many of you completed your studies while holding down demanding, challenging jobs, looking after your families, and overcoming tremendous obstacles along the way. But I also know there's only one thing harder than being an OU student, and that's living with an OU student. So today I also want to pay tribute to your family and friends. We should pay tribute to them for supporting you when you were getting going, for standing by you when things were getting tough, and for celebrating now in your moment of glory. And do you know what? I don't think they'll miss your study any more than you will. The impassioned orations over breakfast on the joys of cubism, the challenges facing international development or the wave theory of light, the detailed running commentaries on your TMAs, 1,001 words, 1,002 words, 1,003 words, and the sheer cries of desperation. The deadline's not until midnight. I have 3 more minutes. So graduates, this is your time for you to acknowledge the support you have received from your family and friends who are here with us today. Why don't you get on your feet, find them in the audience, and give them a big round of applause. Thank you. Good job. And thank you, family and friends. The bad news, family and friends, is they get to the sparkling wine before you do as they leave the auditorium. Graduates, when you first announced that you were going to study with the Open University, how many people came up to you, the great cynics of this world, and said you wouldn't be able to get the qualification you've just received? And when the work got tough and the deadlines stacked up, how many of you questioned whether, quite frankly, you could carry on? But here's the thing, you did. You carried on, you proved the cynics wrong, and today you get your reward. And if you can do that, there really is no limit to what you can achieve in the future. So where will the future take you? What should you do now with this hard-earned qualification? Well, the best advice I can give you has actually been staring you in the face the whole afternoon. It's in our crest. 3 words: learn and live. They're right up there. I want you to just think about them for a few moments. Let's start with learn. This may feel like the end of your learning experience, but it's really just another step in a lifelong journey. Now you can learn how to use that qualification to improve your own life and the lives of those around you. You can use it to open new doors and learn what lies on the other side. Discover new experiences and learn what they tell you about yourself and, perhaps more importantly, the wider world. As long as you keep on learning, you'll also succeed with the other half of the equation, because it's so very important to keep on living, not surviving, but living, making the most of every day for yourself and those whose lives you influence. 50 years ago, roughly, over 50 years ago, Martin Luther King Jr. was locked in an Alabama jail cell. As he sat there, he wrote an open letter to the New York Times Magazine, a letter that described, and I'll quote, "We are all caught in an inescapable web of mutuality, and whatever affects one directly affects us all indirectly." Half a century later, those words ring truer than ever. We live in a world that is more connected, more engaged than at any point in our history. Continents long divided by mountains and separated by oceans have been united by technology. And that's why what you've done, what you've learned, matters so much, because it benefits just not you, but everyone in your web of mutuality, your family, your community, your country, and even the world. And you need to go out there and live your life in a way that puts your qualifications and knowledge to the best possible use, because we live in challenging times. We face problems economic, environmental, social, unlike any of those tackled by our forebears. But they are problems that can be overcome, and it falls to you, the people with open minds and limitless possibilities, to overcome them. Seize the opportunities that life presents. Make yourself a global citizen, a significant member of the human race, someone who matters, someone who lives. The late Nelson Mandela, who was also an honorary graduate of the Open University, said that education is the greatest weapon we have to change the world. You know, that may seem too grand an ambition, but you've already changed your world, and with it you've changed the world of everybody in your web of mutuality. So remember to learn. Learn how to change yourself, how to change your community, how to change the world. And remember to live. Live the life of a global citizen, of someone who seizes opportunities, of someone not afraid to think the unthinkable and achieve the impossible. And I know it sounds difficult, but by sitting here today, you have already achieved something remarkable. And you've done it with the help of an equally remarkable institution. You might have noticed today that the Open University is not like other universities, and you are not like other graduates. You know it, everyone on this stage knows it, and your friends and family, they know it too. But now you have to prove it to the rest of the world. You have to go out there and show people what the Open University graduates are capable of. You have to provide a living, breathing demonstration of what an Open University education means. You have to live up not just to your own standards you have set for yourself, but to the standards set by the hundreds of thousands of graduates who have come before you. So aim high, set grand goals, dare to dream, and dare to make those dreams real. If you do all that, your incredible achievements won't end with the qualification we are celebrating today. They will carry on across all your endeavours for many years to come. Now, can I ask our graduates to stand just for one last time, if you can get on your feet, because we want to tell you how proud we are. Ladies and gentlemen, our graduates. Great job. Okay, can I ask everybody else, if you can stand, to get on your feet for me, please, including my colleagues on the stage. It's my least favourite part of every degree ceremony, particularly on a Friday afternoon. Today, as you might have heard from Robert, is my last degree ceremony. Few people in life can imagine the most perfect job in the world. I am one human being that got to live it for 5 years.